Marcia turned. The shadow behind her wasn't just a figure. It was a presence, ancient, knowing. She tried to scream, but her voice caught in her throat. The ring slipped from her hand. A whisper echoed from the walls. Elijah never left. Then the shadow stepped forward. Not Tariq, not Gregory, but someone she hadn't seen in 20 years. Tall, dreadlocked, eyes glowing with a blue fire. He picked up the ring and said, "The Loom chooses the awakened," then disappeared into dust. Beneath Harlem, Tariq returned to the hidden vault, but the mirror had changed. Now, threads hovered midair, swirling like smoke, each pulsing with color. The rune on his chest glowed faintly. He touched the black thread and screamed. Visions flooded him. Elijah battling a cloaked figure, Gregory standing over a crib, Marcia burying papers in a fireplace. The Loom wasn't just a myth. It was alive, and it was choosing him. Gregory paced in a bunker under Staten Island. The same van that rescued him now sat idle. He'd hired mercenaries, ex-military, no questions asked. But none of them knew about the Loom, or what Elijah had hidden. He watched the footage again. Tariq, alive, speaking, moving. "Impossible," Gregory muttered. Then a new video came in. Tariq outside Dante's shop, scars glowing faintly in infrared. His body wasn't just healing, it was evolving. And Gregory knew time was running out. Dante stared at the rune again. "This ain't ink, bro. This is legacy." He opened a drawer, pulled out an old photo. Tariq's father, Elijah, standing beside a tribal elder. Same rune on his chest. "This ain't fashion," Dante whispered. "It's fate, and your blood's a key." Tariq looked away. What did Elijah get into? Dante handed him a note. Just one word. Kumba, a village buried in ash. A secret buried with Tariq's mother, and a past clawing its way back. Marcia was scared and locked herself in her penthouse. Every mirror was covered. She couldn't bear to see herself. The box from the doorstep sat untouched. Elijah's ring now burning hot. She drank till morning blurred, but when she passed the hallway, all the paintings had changed. Elijah's eyes followed her. Tariq's smile cracked into a glare. She screamed, then heard it again. A knock, but this time she didn't open the door. Tariq walked through Blackwood atelier like a ghost. The halls once built by Elijah, now cold with silence. The staff stared, jaw slack. Was it really him? He didn't stop. He walked to his old office, where a young intern stood, terrified. "I need files," Tariq said, "on Project ARA." The intern hesitated, then handed him a key card. Tariq entered the secure server room. Blueprints, family trees, death certificates. But one name was redacted over and over. Needy Blackwood. That night, Tariq dreamed again. A field of golden threads swayed around him. In the center, a woman, beautiful, regal, familiar. She wore a robe of woven flame. "Needy," he whispered. She smiled but said nothing, only handed him a needle, glowing, humming with power. He reached for it and saw Gregory's face twist in smoke. The Loom shimmered behind her, and in the distance, a scream. Needy vanished, and the field burned. Tariq returned to the vault, pressed his bloodied palm to the mirror. The iron door beneath it unlatched. A chamber revealed. The Loom, not just a machine, a living organism. Threads moved on their own. It pulsed when Tariq stepped closer, then whispered, "You are the last weaver." He reached forward, and it responded. Clothes shimmered on racks. Cloth that healed. Cloth that burned. Cloth that remembered. This was Elijah's secret weapon. At midnight, Blackwood atelier burned. Gregory's mercenaries stormed in, torching records, shattering glass. They wore masks. They moved with precision. But they weren't looking for files. They were hunting Tariq. He fought like a ghost, using threads that cut like wire, clothes that turned flame into mist. But there were too many. He fled through the sewers. Bleeding, weak, one of them shouted, "We'll finish what Elijah couldn't." They found Dante, Too fast. Too brutal. He tried to run, but one bullet dropped him. Tariq arrived seconds too late, held his friend in his arms. Dante coughed, blood in his teeth. Thereafter the needle. Tariq froze. What needle? Dante gripped his hand. Your mom! She hid it in Kumba. Then he was gone, and Tariq wept, not just for Dante, but for what came next. Tariq stood before the mirror again. His reflection flickered. But not just him. Elijah stood beside him, scarred, silent, proud. You found the loom, he said, but the loom is not enough. Tariq's eyes burned. They killed Dante. Elijah's hand touched his shoulder. They killed many before you, but you are the last thread. If you break, the loom dies with you. Then the mirror shattered. On its own, Marcia met him again, this time at a church. No press, no bodyguards, just guilt. I loved your father, she said. But Gregory, he offered me a future. Tariq stared coldly. You helped bury me. I helped birth you, she replied, then handed him a necklace, a key hidden inside. It's your mother's, she said. In Kumba, there's a temple where the needle sleeps. Tariq took it and left without a word. Tariq flew to Kumba, once a village, now mostly ruin, his mother's homeland. The trees stood like silent sentries. Locals watched him from behind curtains. One woman approached, blind but smiling. You wear her scent, she said. Needy son. He showed the necklace. She touched it and trembled. This will awaken the needle. But beware, awakening the dead has a cost. The temple stood buried in moss, ancestral symbols carved into its face. Inside, darkness and silence. He stepped forward. The necklace began to glow. A loom sat in the center, smaller than the original, but pulsing with raw power. Tariq placed his hand on it. Thread shot out, binding his chest. The rune burned brighter. Then he heard her voice. Needy lives through you. The temple wove him a new suit, black with silver threading. It clung to his skin like breath, moved with thought, protected him like armor. Each thread was alive, each stitch a promise. He stepped outside, and the trees bowed. In the distance, a helicopter. Gregory's forces had arrived, but this time, Tariq wasn't running. This time, he was ready. They came in waves, armed, ruthless, but the suit turned bullets to ash. Tariq moved like smoke. Threads lashed out like whips. The jungle echoed with screams. They tried to run, but fate had already chosen. Only one man survived, and whispered into a radio. He's not just alive, he's becoming. Gregory heard the call, and broke the phone in half. Then we burned the world with him. He turned to a new figure, a woman in a red veil. She stepped out of shadow, skin dark as coal, eyes red as flame. You summoned me, she said. Gregory nodded. I need to end a bloodline. She smiled and raised her hand. Red thread spun in air. I was there when the loom was born, and I will be there when it ends. Her name was never spoken, but in ancient texts, she was called the Red Weaver. Tariq stood on the temple steps, scarred, armored, awakened. In his hand, the needle. The sky churned above. Threads danced around him. He looked toward the east. Gregory was coming, and he wasn't alone. The final war wouldn't be fought in boardrooms, but in blood and thread. Tariq whispered, let the loom decide. His eyes glowed. She stepped through smoke. The Red Weaver, clothed in living fire. Every thread she touched turned crimson. Gregory knelt before her, his pride cracked by fear. You want to end the boy, she said, but endings come at a price. Gregory held out Elijah's torn sketchbook. The loom chose him. She sneered. Then we'll unchoose him. Her fingers sparked as she whispered, we shall cut the thread walker from the weave. And the winds obeyed. The loom inside the temple pulsed violently. Tariq collapsed. His eyes rolled white. Visions poured in. A burning house. A baby crying. Gregory's hand dripping with blood. Then a figure wrapped in red threads. Watching, waiting. He woke in a gasp. The needle trembled in his hand. He knew what it meant now. This wasn't just revenge. It was prophecy. And prophecy was being hunted. Tariq returned to Harlem. But Harlem had changed. Blackwood Atelier was closed. Graffiti now covered its gates. Long live the dead. The city buzzed with whispers. Some said Tariq had become a ghost. Others said he was a god. He walked the streets unseen, until a boy stopped him, eyes wide. "You're him, ain't you?" Tariq nodded. The boy simply said, "Bring it down," and vanished into the crowd. He walked into a laundromat. The air was too still. Then he saw it. A single red thread stretched across the floor. It pulsed. He followed it. It led to a back room, empty but for one thing. A sewing mannequin bleeding, carved into its chest. Unweave him. Tariq touched the thread and was thrown backward. The mirror across the room cracked, and the red weaver's eyes shone through. Gregory stood in a candlelit chamber, a circle drawn in chalk. The red weaver before him. He signed the final page. His blood sealed it. "Done," she whispered. "You will have the needle and the boy's life." Gregory stared into her eyes. But deep down, he knew the cost. He just didn't know who'd pay it. She smiled. "Pray the Loom still forgets your name." Then vanished, leaving only smoke. Marcia sat on her balcony, still haunted by the ring, and now by flames in her dreams. She hadn't slept in days. Couldn't eat, couldn't think. Then she saw it, a thread crawling beneath her skin. Red. She screamed and clawed at her arms. Neighbors found her shaking on the floor, muttering one phrase over and over. "She's weaving me from the inside." Tariq met with the forgotten. Old friends, new soldiers, designers, hackers, street prophets. They called themselves the Threadless, people Gregory's empire crushed. He handed them the needle. "This isn't just a weapon," he said. "It's a compass, a truth, and we'll burn his lies with it." They prepared the resurrection drop. One more time, but this time they'd target the board, the banks, and the legacy itself. Gregory tried to move fast. A last-minute show in Paris. A comeback. New designs. New models. All stolen from Elijah's private sketchbooks. But the mannequins caught fire mid-walk. Literally. Threads turned to ash. Audience screamed. On the screen behind him, a single word in red, unstitched, and a silhouette in black, watching from the rafters. Marcia lay in a psych ward, thin, silent, but they let Tariq in. She didn't speak, just passed him a flash drive, then whispered, "I gave her your thread once. Now take it back." He opened the drive later. It showed Gregory in Cumba, digging something up, talking to the Red Weaver, then burying a woman alive. Tariq's mother, needy, he returned to Cumba, to the place from the footage, and dug. Hours passed. Hands bloodied, then cloth, then bone, then her face. Unaged, perfect. Her eyes opened. Needy gasped, "You must cut me free before she takes root." And the ground shook. He carried Needy to the temple. The loom pulsed wildly. It sensed her, welcomed her, threads wrapped around her wrists, but not to bind, to restore. She began to breathe deeper, then cried out. The needle in Tariq's hand trembled. The loom spoke. The cycle is reversing. But then it dimmed. The Red Weaver had entered the thread. Gregory came with fire. Armed men, red-threaded armor. The jungle bled. Tariq fought like fire incarnate. His suit glowed silver now, enhanced by Needy's life. The needle danced in his hands. But one soldier got through, struck Needy. She fell. Again, Tariq screamed, a scream so loud the trees cracked. The loom surged and rewove itself around her. Back in New York, Tariq walked into the Blackwood boardroom, blood on his shirt, suit glowing faintly. The board gasped. He tossed Elijah's ring on the table. Then a document, Elijah's true will. Signed, dated, verified. Gregory had forged everything. The board was silent. Then one by one, they removed Gregory's name. From the empire, he tried to steal. But the Red Weaver had reached Harlem, and the sky turned red. Threads wrapped around buildings. Civilians screamed. Old women wept. The air shimmered. Tariq returned too late. She hovered above the city, a god made of stitch and bone. Her voice shattered windows. Let the thread walker face me. And the loom trembled beneath her. Tariq stood on Blackwood's roof, suit shifting with every breath. The needle glowed like lightning. Below, chaos. Above, judgment. He looked to the threadless. They waited, armed with fabric Elijah dreamed of, each one ready to die. He nodded, then jumped from the rooftop into the storm of red. The battle for the loom had begun. He clashed with her midair. Thread met thread. Her threads burned like acid. His soul through shadows. The sky tore open. Their clash cracked clouds. Below, the world watched. Above, destiny stitched its final scene. She whispered, "You are a child trying to weave fate." He replied, "I am my father's son," and plunged a needle into her chest. She screamed and vanished into red mist, but not before laughing. He returned to the temple. Needy stood, barely. The loom flickered. She placed her hands on his heart and whispered a chant. Threads from her fingers sank into him. A final blessing, a final goodbye. Then she collapsed and faded into silver dust. The loom stopped, for now, but the needle began to glow on its own. In a forgotten monastery in Lagos, another loom began to stir. A monk opened a scroll. The name, Tariq Blackwood. Eyes glowing, thread floating in the air. He looked up at a mirror showing Tariq's battle, then smiled. The thread walker is strong, but not the only one. He stood, and the mirror cracked into 1,000 red slivers.